The morning of May 15, 1940, while panzer divisions carved through the Ardennes and Luftwaffe reconnaissance aircraft photographed every railway junction and motorway in northern France, a flotilla of 17 narrowboats churned silently through the Kennet and Avon Canal. They carried 340 tons of ammunition, medical supplies, and encrypted communications equipment for the British Expeditionary Force. The boats moved at precisely 3.2 miles per hour, slower than a man's walking pace. Their engines produced a distinctive rattling diesel sound that could be heard from half a mile away. They were crewed largely by women over the age of 50 and men classified as medically unfit for military service. German intelligence officers, poring over thousands of reconnaissance photographs, noted the boats in their reports. They classified them as non-military commercial traffic. They were spectacularly, catastrophically wrong. This wasn't a failure of intelligence. It was a masterclass in hiding military capability inside the most mundane, most overlooked infrastructure imaginable. The Germans never realized that Britain's canal network was moving the equivalent of 200 lorry loads of supplies every single day without consuming a single gallon of rationed petrol. The narrowboats looked like relics even by 1940 standards. Designed for canals built in the 1770s, they measured exactly 72 feet long by 7 feet wide, dimensions dictated by the lock chambers at Braunston, built in 1796. Their engines produced between 12 and 25 horsepower. A single German Opel Blitz lorry could carry 3 tons at 50 miles per hour on paved roads. A narrowboat carried 25 tons at 3 miles per hour through waterways that meandered through the countryside. On paper, this shouldn't have worked. Yet by August 1940, while the Luftwaffe pummeled British roads and rail lines, the canal network was moving 47% of all munitions from the Midlands factories to southern England without losing a single ton to enemy action. The Germans were bombing empty lorries on motorways, while the real supplies floated beneath tree cover, invisible from the air, moving through a transport network that hadn't changed since Trafalgar. Standard military logistics doctrine in 1940 emphasized speed, capacity, and centralized control. German motorized combat troops had demonstrated in Poland that rapid mechanized supply lines could sustain blitzkrieg operations. Their manuals specified that supply vehicles should maintain 40 to 60 kilometers per hour on improved roads with centralized depots. The British Army's own pre-war doctrine prioritized railway transport, supplemented by motor lorries. Canals weren't mentioned in military planning documents after 1918. They were considered obsolete, casualties of the railway age. Military theorists argued canals suffered from fundamental limitations. They were slow, geographically constrained, vulnerable to frost and drought, and required specialized crews. General Sir John Dill, chief of the Imperial General Staff, initially dismissed canal transport as picturesque but impractical. The Ministry of War Transport calculated that it would require 23 canal boats to match the daily tonnage of 6 motor lorries. The lorries could reach any destination with a road. The boats were trapped in their medieval channels. The critics were right about the speed. They were catastrophically wrong about what mattered. The secret was in what made canal boats different, not what made them worse. Britain's inland waterway network comprised 4,250 miles of navigable canals and rivers in 1940. While Germany built autobahns, Britain's canal infrastructure remained exactly as it had been during the Napoleonic Wars. This seemed like strategic neglect. To the planners facing the Luftwaffe photographic reconnaissance, it meant something else entirely. a transport network the Germans didn't consider worth mapping. The Grand Union Canal could accommodate boats carrying up to 25 tons. Older narrow canals restricted loads to 20 to 23 tons. These weren't impressive figures. What mattered was what they carried those tons through. Canal routes wound through terrain carefully selected by 18th century engineers to maintain gentle gradients. They followed valleys, passed under tree cover, threaded through cuttings, and disappeared into tunnels for miles. The Standedge Tunnel ran for 3.1 miles through the Pennines, 3.1 miles of complete invisibility from the air. The Harecastle Tunnel offered 1.6 miles of concealment. The Blissworth Tunnel, 1.75 miles. Modern militaries thought in terms of roads and railways, linear, visible from 6,000 feet. Canal engineers thought in terms of contours and water supply. They built their network to be invisible from high ground. Reconnaissance pilots saw rivers. They didn't see the parallel canal cuts 20 feet to the side, hidden by hedges and trees. German photographic interpreters, trained to spot railway yards and road junctions, looked at canal traffic and saw civilian commerce. They weren't wrong. It was civilian commerce. But by August 1940, 40% of that commerce was under direct Ministry of War transport charter, carrying military supplies in unmarked boats that looked identical to the coal barges they'd been the week before. On September 7, 1940, the first day of the London Blitz, Luftwaffe formations struck 23 railway stations, 15 major road junctions, and 37 petrol storage facilities across southern England. That same day, 142 narrowboats moved through the Grand Union Canal, carrying 3,200 tons of ammunition from the Royal Ordnance Factory at Chorley to forward depots. Not one was attacked, not one was photographed. German intelligence assessments from September 1940 noted severely disrupted ground transport. British ministry records show canal tonnage actually increased by 23% during the same period. The proof was in what British units received. The 1st Armored Division, refitting after Dunkirk, required 180 tons of supplies daily. Between June and October 1940, 67% of their ammunition arrived via the Basingstoke Canal. The supplies were unloaded at night into unmarked lorries.
German reconnaissance photographs from July 1940 show the road junction near the canal basin. Intelligence assessments note minimal motor transport activity. They were photographing the lorries during the day when they sat empty. The actual transfer happened between 2200 and 4 a.m. when German night reconnaissance was focused on cities. A captured Luftwaffe intelligence officer, Hauptmann Ernst Richter, interrogated in November 1940, explained, "We focused reconnaissance on railways and major roads. These were the critical networks. The canals, we understood, carried coal and commercial goods. They were slow, inefficient, not military targets." The interrogation report notes his visible confusion when shown photographs of narrowboats carrying camouflaged ammunition crates. His response, "This is not logical. Why would they use such primitive methods?" The interrogator's notation reads, "Subject appears genuinely surprised. Assessment: German intelligence doctrine did not consider canal transport militarily significant." The numbers reveal the scale of the miscalculation. Between May and December 1940, British canal boats moved 890,000 tons of military supplies, equivalent to 44,500 lorry journeys. This saved approximately 750,000 gallons of petrol that didn't exist. Britain's fuel supplies were critically short. Civilian fuel was rationed. Yet canal boats running on diesel engines that consumed 2 gallons per day or moved by horses that ate hay operated outside the fuel economy entirely. The Germans tracked every gallon of fuel imported through British ports. Their calculations assumed road and rail transport. They never factored in the 18th century canals. This wasn't accidental. The Ministry of War Transport's Emergency Powers Act of August 1939 included specific provisions for canal requisitioning drafted before the war began. British planners understood something fundamental about aerial reconnaissance. It depended on pattern recognition. Analysts looked for concentrations of activity, regular movements, and modern infrastructure. Canal traffic showed none of these signatures. German logistics doctrine assumed paved roads and clear weather. British canal boats operated regardless. When the winter of 1940 to 1941 brought heavy snow, making roads impassable and cutting railway schedules by 40%, canal traffic continued. Ice up to 3 inches thick slowed but did not stop them. A memorandum from the Grand Union Canal Company in January 1941 notes, lost 4 days to ice. Road transport lost 18 days. Railways operating at 60% capacity. Canal traffic at 85% capacity despite conditions. Speed didn't matter when you were moving supplies continuously 24 hours a day. The canals created a steady, predictable flow, slow but uninterruptible. Geographic constraints didn't matter when the canals already connected every major industrial center to ports and depots. The requirement for specialized crews became an advantage when those crews were civilians, women and older men not liable for service. The idle women of the inland waterways, volunteers with IW painted on their boats, freed up younger men for combat. A narrowboat crew knew their canal the way a taxi driver knows a city, not from maps, but from daily experience. German intelligence operated on a principle. Critical infrastructure is modern infrastructure. They photographed factories, power stations, docks, railways, and motorways. They counted tanks and aircraft. Their analysis was thorough and accurate for everything they considered relevant. Canals weren't relevant. They'd been obsolete since railways were invented. This assessment was correct in every context except the one that mattered. A nation under aerial siege, short on fuel, needing to move supplies without being targeted. The British didn't trick the Germans. They simply used infrastructure the Germans had correctly assessed as obsolete for modern offensive warfare. But Britain wasn't conducting offensive warfare in 1940. It was surviving. To disrupt a railway yard, you destroy one junction. To disrupt a motorway, you crater one intersection. To disrupt canal transport, you would need to destroy locks, aqueducts, or tunnels, structures scattered across 4,250 miles of waterway. The targeting mathematics made no sense. So the Germans didn't bomb the canals. They bombed the railways and roads, never realizing they were attacking the decoy while the real supply line floated peacefully past at 3 miles per hour beneath the trees. The narrowboat crews weren't soldiers. Doris Smith, who crewed boats from 1940 to 1945, recalled, "The men at the locks thought we were just girls playing at canal work. Let them think it. We were carrying ammunition that could blow us all to kingdom come, but we looked like we were carrying coal. That was the whole idea. Look ordinary." The ministry deliberately recruited women with no canal experience for some routes. Novice crews appeared even less suspicious. Training took 6 weeks. The manual never mentioned the actual cargo. The boats were camouflaged by being unchanged, no military markings. A boat carrying 20 tons of shells looked identical to a boat carrying 20 tons of pottery clay. Same boat, same crew, same route since 1935. The cargo was covered with standard tarpaulins. The manifests showed engineering supplies.
This wasn't sophisticated deception, it was bureaucratic mundanity weaponized. Canal boats delivered supplies to 76 military installations between 1940 and 1942. The 58th Division received 78% of its ammunition via the Lee Navigation and Regents Canal. German reconnaissance photographed the base, noted its lack of significant motor transport activity, and concluded it was a lightly supplied training unit. The reality, it was supplied via a canal the Germans dismissed. German logistics were efficient when roads were passable, bridges intact, and fuel available. British canal boats required water, which fell from the sky, and hay or minimal diesel. They required locks built in 1790 that still worked in 1940. Their engineering was simple, their maintenance was continuous. They didn't require anything the Luftwaffe could interdict.